I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bring the meeting to order.
All right, Page,
Here.
Walsh,
Here.
Peters,
Here.
Childers,
Here.
Wolfersberger,
Here.
Cummings.
Here.
Okay. There are no proclamations or appointments. There's nobody here for public comment unless Nora, you have something you want to say?
I just want to say great job, Public Works. My road was clear.
Yes, that was on my list to do, to congratulate them. It was, you know, a pretty good storm and they did pretty well with very minimal complaints, but you always get complaints, or they driveway or whatever, but you know, folks don't.
No
about
complaints
it.
about them, just the people that move with cars.
Yeah, no, I think they did a good job this time. Consent agenda, we have the meeting minutes from the January 13th meeting, approval of bills in the amount of $41,789.63. And two special event permits, one for the Trooper Thompson Memorial 5K and park activities, and then the other one, the St. Joseph Church's Cross Procession. One's the Cross Procession, I think, is in April, and the 5K is in June.
Quick note on this, the executive session minutes for January 13th will be added to the next meeting agenda, and that's on me. I didn't add it to the list here for consent. Mike has them done.
All right. Is there any discussion about the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
There a second?
I'll second.
Terry and Matt, any further discussion? Seeing none.
Okay, Walsh,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Childers,
Yes.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
This is gonna be an interesting meeting. We're gonna talk about new business, stormwater, capital improvement plan. And it really kind of encompasses, but I mean, it's a budget item and it encompasses a lot of strategy. I'm going to table the animal control update because we got some information today that really kind of doesn't change it, but I think you all need to have it, and I don't have all of that information yet before we start really talking about that. So we're gonna table that one for the moment. So the only item on the agenda is the stormwater capital improvement plan. We have to start talking about budget to put together for the May to April next budget, FY27. And I hope that everybody had a chance to read. I mean, I think Joe did a great job laying out a lot of work, laying out the stormwater issue and really capital improvement plan issues. There was a stormwater master plan done in 2004 and master transportation plan in 17. And is there ever a parks plan? I forget now. No, there hasn't been one, but we probably should have a master park plan for the plan to build parks and park development. But those two are big number items if you've read through this. And the village in the past has various boards and mayors have had different approaches to paying for these things. And there was a long period where the plan was to, let's save up enough money to get this done. The problem with that is inflation eats you alive, and why it's waiting 10 years to save up $1 million to get a project done. I'd like to entertain the idea of, if we've got $250,000, let's do a piece of it. You know, a logical piece of it, and then another logical piece as we go along, so that we're always building something and we're always knocking stuff down before inflation eats the rest of that up. But that's my intro. A lot of this, of what we do with this, has to do with, or is dependent on how we approach the decision we make on the storm wastewater treatment plant and the wastewater sewer system, sale or no sale. But That's a perfect example of waiting too long and not improving it as you go along, then all of a sudden $19 million. And puts us in debt, and it's hard to start dealing with some of these other things. We've had for the last 3 years, kind of a drought. But we know that's not gonna last, and we will be getting back into rainy springs, and, we've all seen floods. I've seen a flood, the wetlands was all the way up to the top of 150. And entire neighborhoods are underwater, so we can't not address this because of the error of recency. So that's kind of my intro. Joe, do you wanna
Yeah.
kind of pick up from there and
Sure.
walk through this?
So as the mayor said, the village, commission Clark needs to do a master plan for stormwater improvements. And as the memo goes into, that plan was updated in 2014 to kind of, amend the strategy, so to speak. The original plan focused very heavily on trying to do retention efforts to give a chance for the water to make its way out to the salt fork. And then this new approach is sort of diverting water straight to the salt fork to try to get the water out faster rather than just focusing on detaining. Detaining the water is still going to be important, as you can see in the memo, but it's somewhat of a revised strategy. In 2022, we started working on this plan, and that came in the form. It was in conjunction with the Elm Street project that we did, because on north or well, if you go to I don't know what page it is in your packet, but it's page 3 in the memo. It's the one that's got the green and blue lettering on it. If you go to Monroe, close to where the Kibler lot was that the village now owns, there's a portion of that where there's a sewer trunk line that went along that. And we also improved roadway, so it made sense to do all 3 levels of infrastructure at the same time. So there was some efficiency that was gained there. And it went down to where the green square is roughly is where we left off. So we were able to do a lot of cost sharing with the sewer and street improvements. So we got a portion of the DD6 connection done. As I'm talking about this, it's important to remember that this isn't just DD6 connection is the first really big goal, because it in effect makes the connection point southwest a brand new storm tile, essentially, because it takes all the capacity from, if you're familiar with DD6 at all, it goes from the northeast portion of the community and it travels southwest out to the Salt Fork. So that connection point northeast would be diverted at the connection point immediately west to the Salt Fork, and the southwest as it continues on would be basically a new pipe with free capacity. But that's only a part of the project. The project is supposed to go all the way over to what's commonly referred to as the Halls ground. And that would provide local storm sewer to that farm ground, which would ultimately in the future reduce the level of retention that's required for any developments that occur there.
Let me jump in there, I'm sorry, you're interrupted. Part of the problem with, and that's in this report, part of the problem with developing the Halls land is the stormwater, the infrastructure costs are high. And this is a big piece of that. To expect, we've had 2 developers, work out there, invest some engineering time, and the amount of money that they would have to put in up front is not economically feasible for most developers. Of course, they would love TIF money up front, which shifts the risk from the developer to the village in case it doesn't happen, and then we're out money, right? So it's kind of a balance there. So go ahead.
So it is very challenging. But so as we go through the memo further, we have made some progress on the connection to DD six and is providing local drainage from where the green square is to the outfall pipe where the Kevlar lot was. So it is still providing drainage, but it's not nearly as effective as what it could be if it was connected to DD six, if that makes sense. So just for some background on the original 2004 memo, my estimates that you see there are very optimistic. I had our engineers look at my estimates and I think that it's very possible that once we bid it out, that those figures will be low. So the reason I point that out is to create a little bit of urgency, like the mayor was talking about, that we need to start, if we have the financial ability, depending on your future decisions, we need to try to start dollar cost averaging into this project if we can. All the projects we can, because they go up faster than what we earn return if we invest that same cash. So working with Clark Beats, I asked them to break up where we're at currently to DD six, into even smaller chunks. Clark Beats is right that you kind of get a certain economy of scale if you just do the connection. If you do a bigger project, there's a little bit of economy of scale. My feeling so far of big government bodies that we can stay on a cash basis, that's the preference. And so this 6-year model from 2026 through 2031 would get it done in 6 years. And it's separated into what could realistically come out of the stormwater fund. And then the general fund would have to supplement the remainder of the project. So the general fund costs are referred to as roadway design engineering and CES, which is basically construction engineering supervision. So those would come out of the general fund in this proposal. And then the stormwater total cost over those years through 2031 would be roughly $825,000. So potentially we will have, if our estimates are correct, the stormwater fund, after you factor in all of the costs associated with this project, is it the grayscale chart? We'll have somewhere around over like $200,000 remaining that we could potentially throw towards some of the design engineering costs and stuff like that. But we don't know what 6 years is going to bring, so it's very possible we'll have another stormwater project that we need to tackle in between there. So that's a pretty decent buffer for us to count on. Another factor is, so if you want to adopt this strategy that's proposed, what I would do for the budget is create a line item called capital improvement program. And then that can be built with certain other, like you're supplementing the stormwater capital improvement program. That's one item. That you're supplementing a motor fuel project, or you're supplementing a parks and recreation project, as an example. And we would just plug in these numbers on an annual basis with a contingency of say 15% roughly. And then each year we would just plug that number in until we get the project done, basically. So with that said, I'm happy to answer questions if I'm able. And do you have any questions?
So to summarize, create capital improvement pots, we put spending authority in them. And then we address them as they come along with the money that we have at the time.
Yes.
Just because we have spending, let's say it's $800,000, but we only have 250, that's all we spend, but we have spending authority in case something we get granted or something else happens. And we started, instead of trying to save up, wait for years to save up to get $1 million for this project, because I just added those 7 up. The 2026 price estimate is 6.9 million. Yeah, well, yeah. it's a lot. No progress, like 4 or 5.
A few of those were replaced by this strategy update,
Right.
yeah.
But it's millions. We need to start knocking them off as we go along.
I agree. I think we need to kind of rethink and retool, like what the previous decision was. At the time, I think it was the right thing to do. I'm not saying that it was not, but I think a lot has changed. And I think we need to kind of look at things and rethink that. And I think we have some opportunities here to do that. I also feel like, maybe possibly looking at, the land sale, the Holes land sale, please don't quote this. Maybe he takes a partial payment up front. And then we balance out once the tip comes through, or I mean, there's, I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking, I think we need to think out of the box about things in pieces. I don't think that we think of it as one whole project. Does that make sense?
We're gonna have to cost average into these things, yeah. One area I would just add to this conversation is if you look at the chart that has the stormwater revenue actuals from the past and then projected out through the table that Clark Deeds provided in the grayscale version. Those are all projections based on our historical average growth rate, but that doesn't account for if we have any substantial economic growth. I think that's a good point to bring up whenever when we're trying to focus on that our stormwater is tied specifically to sales tax dollars, and so will the parks and recreation. So the more, economic activity that you have, the more flexibility it will give us in this area also.
I don't disagree with that, and I also feel like we need to amp that up a little bit more. And then I don't know what I mean by that, but I just think that I wanted to put that out there. That I think we need to do that. So, what we've been doing, I don't feel has been getting what we thought it was going to give us.
Sure. Well, so I'm happy to ask or answer any more questions, but what I'm hoping for here is direction to add in the first fiscal year proposal to the appropriate funds with a percentage contingency, 15% in each one of those, just so we can get the authority added. And then you all have other decisions to make here in the near future. And the reason why I'm saying that is that the sewer projects that we taken on, those debt services were always intended to be supplemented by other funds. And so if that debt service is not an obligation, then that frees up those funds, obviously. And if it is still an obligation, then we're gonna have to chew through those for a little while until we have the ability to start tackling some of these other projects that are on the list.
So the sewer decision doesn't stand alone. It's part of the bigger financial. I'm gonna wait to see what the offers are before, and we got to hear from the public, but that has a lot to do with a lot of this too. It trickles down. It's part of the bigger budget because we're getting $1 million a year until 29. I think it is, and then 850,000 or whatever it is until 45. So it's hard to do that. Plus, we've been stealing from the general fund, not stealing, but appropriating from the general fund for lots of things: parks, stormwater, sewer, and it's doesn't have infinite capacity to do that. So, as per our plan to kind of get a funding source for each of these things, start looking. So,
Do you know those projects that you have listed? Do you know if I can priority list this on them? Are they listed 1 through 7 or whatever is the priority? Or were they just?
Yeah, if you have a chance, the full plan from back then in 2004 kind of goes into what they would like, and they even put dates on when they would like to have those projects started and stuff like that in some cases. I can, exactly,
I
right,
don't know if they've been looked at since then. just-
in 2014, maybe. And then they amended the strategy in 2014 to, priority projects 1, 2, and 6 were in effect replaced by the new strategy in 2014, which is the DD6. Which is the Douglas Street Storm Sewer, which includes the DD6 connection. And so 1, 2, and 6 were essentially, so like in the case of number 6, as an example. The storm sewer close to the church that we own, that was much more critical back in 2004. Than it is right now, because it was a retention focused effort. It's still important to have that. Detention pond is always good to have, and it would still be good to have there, but it's not as high of a priority since this was amended, is the way that I'm understanding that. But no, really, now that we've done that, that's the big project. So remaining would be 3, 4, and 5, and 7, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Like, and just to, we're kind of getting off a little bit here, but like, project number 7. That's the detention pond, north, close over to what's called Dinosaur Park or Aqua Park. That right there is a project as an example, like if somebody needs dirt. Or talking with our engineers, like that's a great place to get it potentially. If we can be creative with that. So there's other ways, not that, there's still work to be done with the detention pond. It's not like you just go dig a hole, you know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not trying to imply that, but there's creative ways to do things like that. But yeah, to summarize, I'm just seeking direction for the budget and, or if you have additional questions, I'm happy to answer them or get information that I don't have for you.
I support the recommendation on each 30. Yeah.
You need like that, like.
I'm just
Straw poll or.
just looking for a consensus, so like, yeah, basically straw
You know
poll.
where it's in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then that'll be in the budget thing, and then maybe doing a similar thing with the transportation master plan. I'll have another agreement prepared. And then with the budget, it's not like we won't have one of these for every single item in the budget. I'll have like a summary sheet for the budget with the key points at some point. So we'll kind of bundle some of the smaller items together. But some of these bigger dollar items doing standalone conversations as we go. But that's all.
Well, since we're not doing the animal tonight, is there anything else? Is there anything on the let's bring up everybody see and start with that.
I just have one comment. Last month, or no, last meeting, I got like my December and January magazine. One of those, I don't remember which one, I meant to grab it before I came, but I forgot. One of them has a timeline of kind of how we start from like the budget process and the items that go with it. Not every single item is like what we do here at the village, but it gives you a really good snapshot to kind of understand the big picture. So I encourage you to look at that in your magazine and just, you don't have to memorize or whatever, but it makes sense. And so I think it will be helpful as we move forward with things. So,
In the previous magazine, right?
yes,
Yes.
yeah, it's either the January or the December.
Didn't
one.
you put together one that's kind of a bridge version of things that apply to us? What you did there.
For the budget,
you know, for that ICMA or the IML timeline.
Calendar.
Yes.
I have the, that's one of what I pluck out of the magazine is the checklist that they have. With the budget in particular, the staff report, I have it's real Cliff Notes version of the budget process, like what phase we're in with the budget throughout the year. It's just, but it's not the material.
It's not as detailed.
Right, yeah, it's very high level.
So is Volo gonna finish up or what are they doing?
Pardon me?
Volo, are they finishing up or are we moving forward? Or what are we doing?
We're waiting for them to submit their plans. And then we had another company that was formerly consolidated, reach out. They're interested in doing the same thing. We're just waiting for the right of way plans for engineers to review and then issue a recommendation for you all. So I hasn't got it yet. But they were out doing some survey work. I saw them out about, so I think they're working on it.
Anybody else? Steve, Matt? Well, fine, but that's okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
You're out of here by 10.
Excellent, thank you. Much appreciated.